Let's get more on these elections scheduled for Sunday. France 24's Nick Spicer is standing by with us, in Berlin. Nick, some strong words then from the German Chancellor there. Think of the future of your children, of your parents. Talk us through what happened today. The last rallies then taking place today, Nick.
It's the last day of campaigning, and I'm standing in a pedestrian zone. There's a big public market here where people come, and of course there are candidates from all the big parties handing out brochures, making their last-minute pitches to the voters, because it's a very tight race, and Angela Merkel had actually planned to stay out of it, but her party's candidate for Chancellor, Armin Laschet, was doing so poorly, he was so gaffe-prone in the race, that she broke her own rule and stepped in and made the statements that we just heard, and was actually warning of the possibility of Die Linke, who are former communists from the East Germany, entering into government for the first time in Germany, and saying this was a time to vote for stability, which is a thing that polls show Germans really cherish above all. And so presenting her candidate as the continuity candidate. However, Olaf Scholz, the man who is leading him as the most favorite candidate for chancellor in Germany, who leads the Social Democrats, is actually seen by Germans as the natural successor to Merkel, who's from a different party. Why? Because he's been her finance minister for the past 4 years. He's the vice chancellor. He's a steady pair of hands, and voters respect him. You know, the polls asking who would you like to be chancellor, that's not on the ballot, but they say Olaf Scholz is their favorite choice, with around 45%, double anybody else. So that's what happened today. Those two men campaigning, Annalena Baerbock, who is the leader of the Greens, choosing to take this day off, and all that's left for voters to do now is to get up tomorrow morning and vote.
Absolutely. Ahead of that vote that we'll be following here on France 24 very closely, talk us through what the polls are saying, Nick, about the actual outcome.
Well, the polls are saying things that have changed, just big picture-wise. Over the past months, each of the three parties has been a big leader in the polls. It's been a yo-yo time for pollsters. For various reasons, Annalena Baerbock of the Greens was caught up in a bit of a plagiarism scandal for a book that was ghostwritten. Armin Laschet, Merkel's man, was seen laughing behind the president as he was making a condolence speech to the victims of those giant floods in Western Germany in which nearly 200 people died. And Armin Laschet just basically rose to the top by not doing anything wrong, more or less, and sticking on message. So the polls really aren't an indication necessarily. They give us an idea of what's going to happen, and what will happen is we're not going to have 40% for any big tent party. It's more going to be in the 20s. We're going to have probably 7 parties to work with. The future coalition which comes out of this, let's remember, this isn't the British parliamentary system. We won't know tomorrow night who the next chancellor is, what the program is. There'll be months of negotiation as the lead party negotiates with other partners to develop a policy and implement it. It'll probably be, for the first time in German history, a 3-way coalition. So harder, more complicated talks, harder to find a policy, a longer wait for Germany's foreign partners to figure out what the new government of Germany is actually prepared to do when it comes to China, Russia, trade talks, all kinds of things. And in the meanwhile, Angela Merkel, who's the first chancellor to leave the political stage of her own accord, will remain in office by interim for months to come.
All right, Nick, as you say, many details to be thrashed out over the next couple of days or so. For now, though, from Berlin, thank you.